praises are Allah's, Lord of the worlds, and may His peace and blessings be upon our Master, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, and his pure Immaculate Ahlul Bayt. Islam, we said, is one religion, but it's multi-dimensional, it's multi-layered. It has a superficial aspect, and it has an infinite number of esoteric inner dimensions. إن للقرآن ظهرا وبطنا ولبطنه بطنا إلى سبعة أبطن. Verily, with the Quran, there's a superficial aspect, an external aspect, and an internal aspect. And with every internal aspect, there's another internal aspect. 7 times over. In some traditions, 700. In some traditions, 7,000 times over. The point is, with the butul, with the inner dimensions, there is no end. This is Allah's knowledge manifesting in this holy book. It is all of Allah's attributes are manifesting in this holy book. Allah's attributes were from pre-eternity to post-eternity. There is no end. And so there is no end to the inner dimensions of religion. But Islam is one religion, but it has many dimensions. In the prophetic tradition, it reads that the Sharia is my words, the Tariqah is my actions, and the Haqiqah is my state, the Holy Messenger said. Ash-Shari'atu aqwali, wal-Tariqatu af'ali, wal-Haqiqatu ahwali. These three, the Sharia, the Tariqah, and the Haqiqah, they're not mutually exclusive. They're all dimensions of one another. But the Sharia is the superficial aspect. The Tariqah is the inner aspect of the Sharia. The Sharia is the superficial manifestation of the Tariqah and of the Haqiqah. The Sharia, though, are my words, the Holy Messenger said. The do's and don'ts, that's the jurisdiction of the Fuqaha. The Tariqah are my actions. It's outside the jurisdiction of the Sharia now. Here, it means the noble ethical traits. This requires more effort. There are many things in Islam that aren't haram from a Sharia point of view, but they are haram from a Tariqah point of view. Tariqah literally means that spiritual path to Allah. If someone does you wrong and you don't forgive, you haven't sinned on a par with the Sharia, but you've polluted the soul according to the Tariqah. Or if someone breaks family relations with you, they did wrong, but you have to go and amend ties. Or let's say you're jealous of someone, but you haven't expressed it. That jealousy within isn't a sin according to the Sharia. But jealousy within is polluting the soul. It's a sin according to the ethical path, the Tariqah path. Holding on to grudges may not be a sin according to the Sharia, but it's a sin according to the Tariqah. And when I say it's a sin according to the Tariqah, I mean it's polluting the soul. This pollution of the soul can reach a threshold. If it reaches a certain threshold, when you commit those sins of the Tariqah and you keep on polluting yourself, it may reach a certain threshold whereby then it makes you susceptible to commit sins of the Sharia. So it's important. Now whoever is a mujtahid in the Sharia, it doesn't mean by default that a mujtahid in the Tariqah. No. People like Imam Khomeini, Ayatollah Hassan Zada Omari, Allama Tabatabai. These people, these exceptions, they were mujtahids in fiqh and usul and of the sharia and in irfan and ethics and of the tariqah. But not all people are like that. For tariqah now, you have to now follow those who are most learned. Let's say you come up, you went and researched them. You see the same one or two names are cropping up. You can choose either one. And then one of them is Ayatollah X. You have to follow Ayatollah X now in matters of the tariqah. Even if Ayatollah X is that place in the world, maybe through email, maybe through an office, you have to contact them. If you can't through their books, if you can't through their students, you have to make an effort. Yes, Irfan, Sufism, I'm using these synonymously for now, this has been abused throughout history. And so it was decided that because the layperson gets easily deceived by these false urafa, it hasn't been made much of a focus. Otherwise, because in the Sharia, it's about the wajibat and the muharramat. It's a very important minimum everyone has to have. But with the tariqah, since it's not wajib, and since abandoning it isn't haram, they haven't really focused and invited people towards finding the marriage, so to speak, in the tariqah. Because of the abuse that has happened, they thought it was in the best interest of the layperson not to make this an issue. Once upon a time, maybe there was right reason for this. Should we still stick to that today? I don't know. In any case, in matters of the tariqah, the noble ethical traits, the invocations, the mantras, is the spiritual path to Allah. And finally, in the haqiqah, this is my states, the Holy Prophet said. That which the Holy Prophet would see, not with the physical eye. That which he would hear, not with the physical ear. Those states we can attain to also. And the Quran invites us to experience these states. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا رَبُّنَا اللَّهُ ثُمَّ اسْتَقَامُوا تَتَنَزَّلُ عَلَيْهِمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ. Those who say, our Lord is Allah, aqa'id. Now aqa'id has degrees. ثُمَّ اسْتَقَامُوا. Then they are steadfast on a par with that ilm, that aqa'id they have. Action. Action has degrees. Angels will manifest before them. This is the Quran. In many verses will speak about them. But in many verses, this is the haqiqah. We want to grow. When we want to invite people to Islam, this is our message. We have to show that this is what Islam can take you. Otherwise, if there's no growth, you're dead. You're static. I'll mention some statements from Imam Khomeini. Those who stick to the shell of the Quran, they're dead. Imam says this. You're static. There's no growth. You're a lifeless corpse. You can't suffice with the minimum. Ayatollah Hassan Zara says a community without irfan is like a lifeless corpse. Don't let the leaders of the community be people who are enhancing this line of action. You'll be responsible. A lifeless corpse, there's no growth. Beware. And there are many other things. The same applies with the Ahlul Bayt. You stick only to the dhahir of the Ahlul Bayt. We'll speak more about that inshallah. Anyway, so that's how Allah Ta'ala has said that the haqiqah is the goal, the objective of religion. The way to the haqiqah is the tariqah. The way to the tariqah is the sharia. So the Sharia, albeit step one, albeit the Dhahir, it's important hierarchy-wise. Now, we were discussing about the secrets of fasting, and that how fasting also there's a Dhahir associated with it, but there are many esoteric dimensions and secrets to fasting. If you suffice with the superficial aspect, you've lost the plot. It's the minimum you've acquired, and inshallah you'll have heaven. Don't worry about that. Heaven has degrees too. They'll give you what you're looking for, that recreational time. That's all you wanted all your life by doing this. All you were thinking of were the houris, the palaces, the rewards. Not only in the beginning of your Islamic journey you were thinking of that, at 100 years of age you're still thinking of that. And okay, they'll give you that at the end. But is that growth? Is that dynamicity of the spirit? Now we have traditions which highlight this, the esoteric dimensions, the butuni dimensions of fasting. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam has said, كم من صائم ليس له من صيامه إلا الجوع والظمأ. How many a faster there are that there's nothing in his fast but that physical thirst and hunger. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam is saying, look, this is not the goal, this physical thirst and hunger. It's part of the picture, but it's not the objective. And how many are fasting or suffering like this? صوم النفس إمساك الحواس الخمس عن سائر المآثم. Fasting of the soul is the refraining of the five senses from the sins. Now these five senses, we limit it to the five physical senses again. And we'll speak about the fasting of the limbs later. However, the ulama look at the five inner senses too, how they have to be observed in fasting. And there you see how it's totally different. In addition to the five physical senses that have to fast, there are five inner faculties that have to fast. Now, how does the rational or thinking faculty fast? How does memory fast? How does the imaginative faculty fast? These are important issues that they've raised. And finally, a tradition from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, who says, إِنَّ الصِّيَامَ لَيْسَ مِنَ الطَّعَامِ وَالشَّرَابِ وَحْدَهُ. Siyam, this refraining, which we said is the literal meaning of Psalm, this refraining isn't only from eating and drinking. See? It's not only the Dhahir. Already you can see that there's batini aspects here. He says, إِنَّمَا لِلصَّوْمِ شَرْطٌ. This psalm has a prerequisite. يَحْتَاجُ أَن يَحْفَظَ. And it needs to be observed and preserved. This prerequisite has to be observed. حَتَّى يُتِمَّ الصَّوْمَ. So that the soul be perfected, be complete. Otherwise, the fasting is incomplete. Don't suffice with the dhahir, the superficial. It has another prerequisite too, by default a batini prerequisite. It has to be observed, this batini prerequisite, in order for the soul, the fasting to be complete. Wahuwa, and now what is that prerequisite? Wahuwa samtul dakhil. We're getting closer now to the essence of fasting. It's about inner tranquility and inner silence, which is impossible to acquire with fasting of the Zahir type. It requires much more. And we'll speak about how it is acquired. Amma Tasba'u, now the Imam is bringing proof for his statement. He's using the Holy Quran. Haven't you heard Ma qalat Maryamu bintu Imran? What Lady Maryam alayhi salam said in the Holy Quran, Inni nadartu lirrahman sawma. I'm vowing before the all-beneficent Allah, I'm vowing and making an oath of fast. Therefore, لن أكلم اليوم إنسيا. Today I can't speak with any person. Now, the Sharia of that time, fasting, you couldn't speak physically either. We don't have that in the Sharia today. But still, whether it's the Sharia of then or today's Sharia, the essence doesn't change. The external aspect of the Sharia changes, but the inner aspect, the tariqah aspect doesn't. And what one has to acquire is inner tranquility. Inner tranquility manifested in the Sharia of that day in one way, and it also manifests today in another way. And inshallah we'll speak more about this. وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله.